Dusty archives, microfilm, memory books that sit forgotten on a shelf. Forget everything you think you know about family history.
It's no longer your grandmother's hobby.
We are interviewing the chief of clans.
Because just about everything has changed.
At first it started as small projects and it's grown and grown and grown.
From DNA.
It's not pretty.
But let's see. Yeah, I think you're there.
So you're a living, walking record of the people who came before you.
Let's click on him and see how you're related.
To interactive technology.
You're related to John Wayne.
Technology is connecting living generations in a way that was unimaginable, even 5 or 6 years ago.
I love a good challenge.
To new ways to connect with relatives.
I just want to know who my dad is.
Everybody wants to know who they're made of.
I was reminded again about Grandpa.
We need to know that we're part of something bigger than ourselves.
We're all God's children, one big family.
And when we do, it blesses us. And so that's the role of family history.
It's Family History 2.0, a new generation of genealogy. When family history experts throw a party,
how are all of you doing? You having fun?
It's about appealing to a whole new generation.
The mission of the Family History Library is to help everyone, no matter who they are, discover their family.
I have 3 siblings, a whole bunch of cousins, 4 step-siblings.
And drawing them inside a newly revamped family history library in downtown Salt Lake City, where the latest advancements are on full display.
We wanted to figure out how to blend Disneyland and family history, really. That's really cool.
The Discovery Experience opened in February 2017, and since then, a lot has changed.
This way. This way! It used to be a big deal when a family came to the Family History Library, which is funny, family history, and now it's just, they walk through the door all the time.
Drawn by interactive experiences that bring the past to life.
3, 2, 1,
record.
You can now record favorite memories.
We do it after we have family dinner every other Sunday at Grandma and Grandpa Nesbitt's. Ooh, wow.
And find out what famous people you're related to.
They were at the Constitutional Convention, and we studied that.
So this is the Picture My Heritage. They can go in and they can dress up in that time period costume.
And our whole purpose is to help gather families.
As the CEO of Family Search International, Steve Rockwood knows better than anyone how quickly the industry is changing.
The technology right now is in the forefront, but you watch. It'll end up being primarily a tool, and what people really get excited about is the actual human emotion of this whole effort.
I heard a friend comment that they could do more in 6 weeks now than they could have done in 6 years before.
Do you know, Michelle, that every day we add over 1 million new names to the database? Every day. So if you think your work's all done, give it a couple days and go check.
This is an original Kodak Model E microfilm camera.
Collecting, preserving, and publishing those records has come a long way.
In 1938, we began microfilming. The collection ultimately grew to 2.4 million rolls of film.
A roll this size would take 10, 12 minutes maybe.
We're in the process of digitizing those. We now have digitized about 2/3 of those. As projected, it would take us 50 years. Now, after 9 years, we have about 3 years left.
Add to that all the new records being collected every day.
We add online 100 to 200 million records every year, which turns out to be over 1 billion names.
And that's changed how everyone can find their ancestors.
You can now do genealogical research around the clock. You never have to leave your home, and you can wear your bathrobe if you'd like, and no one's the wiser.
Making that possible has taken an army of volunteers.
We have around 300,000 volunteers that go online and look at the images and type in the names, dates, and places. So those images then become searchable.
While at the same time, we're teaching machines and we're using artificial intelligence, machine learning, and neural networks to start doing that as well. And that's not someday. We're doing it right now, and it's quite exciting.
12th cousin, wow.
Technology now allows interactivity and immersion. So suddenly it's become fun.
And I think that we're kind of at the beginning of the possibilities of what we can do with discovery and with technology and incorporating that with family history.
And you don't have to come to the library for some of these experiences. Family Search is working to get them all in the palm of your hand.
This is where family history will be done in the future, right here.
Imagine Family Search being your family archive.
Welcome.
You like bacon and sausage?
We're so happy to see all of you on such a bright morning.
These are some burnt offerings.
So any significant event happens in your family today, go ahead and store it in Family Search today.
Nice it.
So we want you, your parents, your children, your cousins to all come to one place and gather as a family and build your family heritage.
Thanks to DNA technology, that heritage has never been easier to discover.
Oh my gosh!
It's thrilling when long-lost family members find each other. This mother and daughter met for the first time as adults. Robin Adair Passy gave birth to Becky when she was 15, and that's the last time she saw her. These half-siblings met each other for the first time in Utah. They're from 3 different states, but hope to meet up again soon. Both reunions came after all 5 people did one thing. They took a genetic DNA test. For many adoptees, that's the only option they have to find out about themselves.
Isn't she beautiful?
Emotional? Yes. Scientific? Absolutely. DNA is all about connections.
I don't have to go to a dusty courthouse to do my family history or find a story about my great-grandmother. I can actually do that online, or I can do it with DNA.
Several companies offer DNA tests, and we decided to try those from Ancestry, MyHeritage, 23andMe, and Family Tree.
Okay, I'll read instructions. Let's see.
Producer Carrie Wilcox and I were faced with important choices once we opened them.
We got spit, scrape, or swab. Where do you want to start?
You can't eat or drink for up to an hour prior to collecting a sample.
So Family Tree is the swab. Scrape the inside of a cheek while rotating the swabs.
MyHeritage is new to the DNA testing realm, but very user-friendly.
Okay, that was 30.
You swab with soft scrapers.
Push to release.
Ancestry and 23andMe are different.
How much do you need?
Those companies have you spit in a tube to gather saliva.
Yes, I'm doing this in private, thank you.
And after no water for an hour, do what you have to do to start salivating.
All right. Popcorn. Smells good.
Thirsty. I did more than was required. It's not pretty.
But let's see. Yeah, I think you're there.
After doing all 4, I'd say the swabs are an easier way to grab cheek cells.
Haha, it worked.
So what happens to your sample? Well, it's sent to a lab where your DNA is tested to determine your ethnicity estimate. Then you're matched to other people in the database to help you find relatives you never knew you had. As more people take the DNA tests, you'll get more matches. You can see your ethnic makeup percentages online in a variety of ways, but in my book, MyHeritage wins for Best Audiovisual Display. And you never know what you're going to find out. All 4 companies agreed that I'm between 96 to nearly 100% European, but my Scandinavian heritage was listed anywhere from 0 to 6 to 21%. And I know that I have a maternal line that goes back to Norway. And surprise, MyHeritage even marked me 1% West Asian.
More ethnicities, more ethnic regions covered in our report than other companies.
So I want you to think of it this way. How can your DNA help you tell a story?
Diane Southard helps people interpret their DNA results, so I showed her all of mine. Which results should I believe?
So all of this information, when you take it all together, maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle.
I started doing genetic genealogy in 1999.
Both Diane and Hugo Perego are experts in the field of genetics, and they have some suggestions.
You're more interested in genealogy, then Ancestry.com has the best background in genealogy and information to use.
23andMe provides you genealogy plus health information, telling you if you're a carrier for a disease or if you're at risk for Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. You can also try the Promethease website. For just $5, you can import your raw data from any of the companies and get a health report.
You're interested in maternal or paternal DNA testing, the Y chromosome, the mitochondrial DNA, then family tree DNA is a leader in that field.
The #1 most economical route currently is to test first with Ancestry and then transfer for free into Family Tree DNA and MyHeritage. And you get 3 databases for the price of 1.
Ready? Okay.
DNA tested alone doesn't really tell you anything. It only has meaning when others are tested and you can compare your results to theirs. So test your older relatives. They're generations closer to the past than you are, carrying more DNA about your ancestors. And test your siblings, because your DNA will not be the same.
Could be you get 1% more from one parent, but
Unless you're an identical twin, your results would be similar, but they wouldn't be exactly the same.
I just put in the name of my parents and my grandparents.
We're seeing a whole new demographic of people taking the test.
9, 10, 15 leaves that are just popping up all over the place.
The popularity of DNA is growing, especially with the younger generation.
If you know where you came from, then you'll have a better understanding of where you can go in the future.
These people are really disappearing.
Still ahead, how the LDS Church is collecting oral histories in lands with few computers, and the emotional way that new genealogy TV shows are connecting with viewers. Across the vast continent of Africa, a race is underway to preserve family history. Participants carry cameras and tape recorders, working as quickly as possible to find the names and stories of millions of people.
It's definitely a race against time.
Pictures like this show why the work is so urgent.
You could see holes in the ceiling, holes in the wall, water would come in, you could smell the mold when the door opened up, but certainly you can see the need to preserve these records now. This is just more pictures from that same archive in Kinshasa.
And these ones we can't do anything about, right?
If we wait 20 years to capture these records, they won't be there.
Family Search uses a small pool of employees, missionaries, and contractors to digitally preserve records in archives and churches.
A typical camera operator might produce anywhere from 300,000 to 500,000 images in a year. All of the electronic pieces fit in this particular case.
Using equipment that's easy to transport and set up with minimal training.
Right now, we have about 27 cameras in 7 countries, and when you think of the size of Africa, that's actually very small.
If records are lost, the names and stories often vanish forever. And in Africa, it's not uncommon for a person to live and die without a single document to record their name.
Someone living in Kinshasa, DR Congo, might have a birth record, but someone living in the village outside of Kinshasa, good chance they do not have a birth record.
And that's why another program is so critical.
For centuries, African people, they were attached or tied to the oral traditions. People were preserving their family history that way, from one generation to another one.
People with deep knowledge, storytellers that could tell us 5, 7, 10, 15 generations.
Oral genealogists like Thierry Matumbo have been working in Ghana since 2003, collecting thousands of names and stories.
We are interviewing the chief of the village, we are interviewing the chief of clans, we are interviewing the chief of tribe or families, because these people are the ones that kept the family informations.
Is in the process of collecting genealogy, we're also collecting history, and we're collecting languages.
The tribes are given a printed copy of the history, and records are uploaded to Family Search online.
In Côte d'Ivoire, I met a man, and he talked about his family went back to 670 AD, and the migration paths, and I was like, what? I was like, that's incredible. Well, he actually had memorized 2,500 names, and he knew the history on each one of them. He could tell us a story about each one of them.
That knowledge is also disappearing.
The people we're interviewing are in their 70s, 80s, 90s.
The work is daunting, but Family Search is working as quickly as possible.
Now, they average about 300 names per interview. We're probably at about 20,000 interviews that we've conducted since 2003. And it sounds like a lot. This year alone, though, we'll do 10,000 interviews. We're really accelerating this quickly.
Modern technology is also helping. In June 2017, Family Search launched Family Tree Lite.
It's built to work on just a very basic phone, even a feature phone.
It allows access to genealogical information in areas of the world with low bandwidth.
More than half the people in the world don't have access to the internet, and more than 50% of the world don't have the privilege to be remembered. Their identity, their stories are not captured or preserved. That is Family Tree Lite's purpose.
Armed with cameras, tape recorders, and a free phone app, volunteers across Africa are making an investment in the future by preserving as many records as possible.
These are the only records of the people that were there before. There is no other record of them. Nobody wrote down these names, nobody wrote down births, nobody wrote down the deaths or the marriages, and so it's only in the memories of these people.
I've received so much out of this in 8 days.
more than I was ever expecting.
Up next, how Emmy-winning reality shows have taken genealogy mainstream.
He was an abolitionist. Oh my gosh.
This season on Who Do You Think You Are?
You only need to flip on your TV.
We're such proud Greeks, my family. Why did we leave here?
My dad has never mentioned any sort of Jewish ancestors.
To find the fascination with family history.
That we found your mom. Still alive? She is.
Several programs explore the mystery and excitement of connecting with relatives, and all have helped to make genealogy a lot more exciting.
Your relative race starts in 3, 2, 1.
Girl.
Go!
One of the newest, Relative Race on BYU TV, the brainchild of Tom Zadunich and Dan Debenham of LensWorks Productions.
And it is a competitive racing show, but it's all about family at the end.
4 couples race to meet a new family member each day of a 10-day race. Slower teams run the risk of being eliminated.
I think all the contestants on this show are shocked at how hard it is to do physically and mentally every day on this race. And I think they're also shocked at the meaningful connections that they find.
I just want to know who my dad is.
Family history shows draw an audience, sparking more curiosity and interest in genealogy.
Joe, it's great to meet you.
Season 2 of Relative Race reunited Joe Greer with the man he's looked for his entire life.
He walked towards me and embraced me, and man.
So, whose relative are you?
I'm Joe's father.
And to see a young man meet his dad for the very first time was the most amazing moment in my entire career.
My father is Douglas H. McElhaney, and I found him on Relative Race.
This television show is much more than just entertainment. It's real, it's powerful, it brings families together, and in this case, a father and a son who had time to spend together before his father passed away.
I have a baby brother.
And it brought him sisters he didn't know he had.
You don't know how long I've waited for this.
We have 40 cameras rolling at any given time all across the country as these relationships are discovered. And when they happen, they're real and they're powerful.
This is so crazy. I'm just incredibly grateful, honored, and thankful to have met him when I did tonight.
All right, wide shot, camera speed, whenever you're ready.
More people are signing up for the shows.
All right, everybody spread out. Let's get the warm-up started.
Troy and Nicole Hitt will compete on season 3.
Oh, I think there's very few things, if any, that we ever look at and think, oh, we can't do that.
Racing for the $50,000 prize, but they hope to find much more along the way.
I mean, no matter who we meet along the way, I feel certain we'll develop some relationships and hold some probably pretty dear.
See, I'm not even moving the camera. I think that just looks good.
It's also going to be a great adventure for us.
Since we don't have control, then you have to just be in it for the experience. If there was no $50,000 check, we would still do it.
Absolutely.
Hey, baby.
Months of preparation and research and planning go into every season of Relative Race.
It is a massive, complicated, but incredibly gratifying show.
Planning and logistics for this show are, it's the hardest thing I've ever done.
You know there's got to be some great stories.
Once the relatives are found and the routes are planned, the 10-day road trip begins.
I think if we show this to Team Black, they're done.
They don't want to mess with us.
The Hits say they're ready for whatever the race throws at them, although they may need a compass.
North.
North.
Producers say to expect the best season yet.
They are going to be blown out of the water. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Really good emotional stories coming, some very big twists in terms of who those relatives are, the holes they fill, and in what way.
The main thing that I would really love to come out of this show would be for us to find Troy's dad.
Yeah, I would say out of this whole affair, this whole race, that would be my biggest fear, is that he's not alive.
So to be able to create a show like this and produce it where our contestants literally leave with a family that they're going to keep in touch with for years to come is very, very satisfying.
Okay, hold on. Let me flip it over.
Bringing family history alive next.
Well,
the only guy that made a touchdown on every pass that was thrown to me. One.
Family history is about remembering.
I had a girlfriend, but I never could ask her.
A voice, a story, a laugh. Recording memories now.
At a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, it was a Chinese restaurant.
Was it?
Wasn't that you that was with me?
Preserves them for generations.
A person dies twice, once when they actually die and once when all memory of them is lost. And so I don't want anyone to be lost.
We love you, Nana. Happy 95th birthday.
Because every person is important.
As technology and access reshape the world of family history, the most important history is the one you're creating today.
It's my most favorite meal to eat.
Yeah, mine too.
If we could just capture the knowledge, the information that's in people's heads about their family, we would have the largest genealogical asset on the planet. Living memory is the largest genealogical asset.
Good. Came from the farm into the city of Lawrence, Massachusetts to have the baby in the upstairs bedroom.
What?
That's true.
And if you think you've never been interested in family history, chances are you're already doing it.
They're writing their history today, posting on Instagram, on Facebook, sharing stories with their family and friends, and that really is family history.
It's your story today, and it's your children's story in the future. That is your family history.
And the next generation of genealogy. To watch this program and many other inspiring KSL documentaries, download the free KSL TV app now from your preferred app store for all your favorite devices. Enjoy uplifting programming anytime, anywhere you want.